What's up guys, it's Pure Perfection here, and today I've got a theatre mode gameplay file I had saved in my file share that I need to use really, and it's a 95 actually to 24 game on Nuketown using the PDW fast mag. We were spawn trapping, 6-man party, etc. The Nuketown demo drill, most of you know. And I didn't even go nuclear this game. My highest medal was a relentless, but you know, what do you expect with a PDW now? So my topic of this video is going to be how I got my science teacher fired in year 8. Now, before I start, I'll just describe this woman to you. She was the most horrible woman you'll ever know. To explain it in Call of Duty terms, something that we'd all understand. Imagine like all the shotguns, the explosives and RPGs and s'mores. Imagine all that combined, and throwing David Vonderhaar as well, just to really get the message across of how horrible she really was, how much of an idiot I think she is. And that just shows, you know, how horrible she was. And if she was a kill streak in Black Ops 2, when it was called in, it would literally be like, enemy super bitch incoming! That's pretty much what it would be. And I apologise if my mic is fuzzy or something, I'm not sure. I need to sort out the audio settings, etc. But getting through on the commentary, so it all started in year 8. We had a nice teacher for year 7, and moving into year 8 we got a new science teacher, a new lady, and her name was spelled Haughgney, Mrs. Haney. That's how she said it anyway, except that was kind of controversial spelling. Most of the class seemed a bit funny, including me, to call her Miss Horny, which was actually how it was pronounced. So Miss Horny, she was mainly known from my mates in class. We all find it hilarious that she's called Miss Horny, and she gets really angry. She sets the tensions for us calling her that, and she's the kind of lady who has clear-cut favourites in the class, and her favourites were the girls. Obviously she was sexist, and basically back then we had these things called gold slips. They were rewarded at the end of each lesson, 3 at the end of each lesson for 3 different people who put in good effort and contributed to class discussions, did good bookwork, etc. And there was a group of 4 or 5 girls who would always get these, and most of the class noticed this, and they were very unhappy actually, because they were getting frustrated with her and nobody really liked her, to be honest. So this was kind of just rubbing it in, to be honest. And year 8, we're queuing up outside science for our lesson, and it's second lesson of the day, and we're waiting for the year 11s to come out from the class so we could go in to have our lesson. And all the year 11s come out, and they all start saying to us, guys, Miss has a camel toe. She has a camel toe, it's really obvious. Back in year 8, I didn't really know what any of the slang words meant for any such words such as camel toe, if you know what I mean. Most of you will know what camel toe means, and I don't really need to go into detail about it, but back then I didn't know what it meant, and I literally thought she had the toe of a camel sitting on her desk, or you know, in a petri dish or something on the class table. So I go in, I'm looking all around the room for this anonymous camel toe that I couldn't find. So after 5 minutes looking around, looking for this gory camel toe, I couldn't find it. So during class, I put my hand up, and like a retard, and to my embarrassment now that I look back at it, and the way the whole class went silent after I said it, I put my hand up and I said, Miss, I heard you have a camel toe, where is it? And the whole class went drop dead silent. Miss looked at me, and the whole class, after 3 seconds of silence, cracked up laughing. And I was looking around like, what the hell? Why are you guys laughing? Miss has a camel toe. Like, in my head, I didn't actually say that, but I didn't understand what it meant back then. So I was looking around and I was like, why is everybody laughing? Have I done something embarrassing? And as it turned out, I had done something very embarrassing. So that made me sort of the class clown for the next few weeks with her. And from then on, she really hated me, especially. and she'd always shout at me, set me detentions, which I thought was really unfair. She's discriminating against me clearly, and nobody seemed to be doing anything about it, which I thought was unfair. So after a few lessons of the shouting, there was this really bad Friday I had. It was really long, I had boring lessons, and science was the last lesson I had in that day. And we were doing some crusty experiments, and just boring old Year 8 experiment, heating up some jars of water under a Bunsen burner, something like that. And I go and grab a jar of water, 150ml jar, I remember that, and the experiment wasn't meant to start until Miss was ready. And for once she didn't shout. She said, "Harry, go put that back at the back of the classroom, please." And the experiment was about to start in like 2 or 3 minutes. So I thought, rather than walking all the way back through everybody and putting it back at the end of the class, I thought I'd just leave it on my desk and make sure it doesn't spill, ready for the experiment. So as I put it back down on my desk, I heard a shout come from behind the teacher's desk, and that shout said, "Don't leave it there, you selfish little minger!" And the whole class, again, for the second time in 2 weeks, went drop dead silence, with me being the centre of attention. And I feel really uncomfortable when that happens, especially when I have the evil teacher's glare staring me down. So the whole class goes silent. I get sent out for leaving a jar on the table, and that blew it for me. That was the final straw. I'd had enough. So me and a group of friends who had also had enough went to the head teacher, who was called Mr. Murphy, and we told him, "Mr. Murphy, we've had enough of Miss Horney. She's shouting at us. She called me a selfish little minger," which, by the way, a teacher really can't do. If you're thinking, "Oh, that's just something people would laugh at if they called you that in the playground," but a teacher really cannot say something like that. So we went to Mr. Murphy to tell him, and he didn't really seem to care. He was just like, "I'll just write down a sheet of paper and I'll have a look at it." And it was evident that he didn't believe us. He thought that we just disliked her for setting too much homework or something like that, just some stupid schoolboy kind of thing. So after that evidently lack of care from the head teacher, I asked my dad. I said, "Dad, I've had enough of the science teacher. She's discriminating against me and some other people in the class, and she's always shouting at us." My dad, just by the way, really isn't the kind of guy who'd just come into school because I received a gentle little push in the playground. He's not that kind of guy who'd come in just to make me feel better about something. But I was adamant that this science teacher, this horrible lady, was discriminating against me. So I was pressuring him to come in and speak to the head teacher. So after a few days of me asking him, he does just that, and I'm in the meeting with him and my head teacher. When he told Mr. Murphy, the way he went, "What? No!" It was evident that he had just forgotten about what me and my friends had gone to tell him just a few days before that. So he clearly didn't believe me. That was evident then. And I even told my dad after that he acted like he didn't know, but my dad just said, "Don't worry about it, at least he knows now." So I agreed with him on that point. And my dad explained what I was feeling, and Mr. Murphy kind of had to listen, because it's not every day that you get a parent coming in to complain about the way a teacher's behaving towards a student. That's not something a parent should ever have to come in for to talk about in school. So he sat there listening intently to my dad banter on about how she'd been discriminating against me. After that, he couldn't just have me and my dad's word for it, because schoolboy could just be lying. So he needed more than that. So 2 days later, where my whole class, same class as in science as well, we're sitting in maths. Back then all the classes were the same, to be honest. Our science, English and maths, everybody was in the same class for that. So we had a maths test due for that day, and we get to miss it. The maths teacher gets sent out because she's not really allowed to hear what's going on about another teacher and what she might have said. So she gets sent out, and it's Mr. Murphy in the room with our head of year back then, who was Miss Price. And I was on good terms with her. I liked her, she liked me, And she gets us all to write statements, all 30 students to write statements of what Miss Horney said and did in that science lesson that we had 2 days earlier. So everybody was giving me high fives after the lesson because we got to miss our maths test, and we got half an hour of basically sitting there just writing about how much we hate Miss Horney. And they collect the statements, and they go read them, I guess. And afterwards, my friends, everybody's saying, "Oh, I wonder what's going to happen to her. Will she get fired? What will Mr. Murphy and Miss Price do?" So 2 days later, we go into our next science lesson, and total change of attitude from Miss Horney. The old angry teacher, always shouting, she's completely opposite now. She was sitting, saying nothing, and basically she wouldn't really utter a word, to be honest. She'd sit behind her teacher's desk, just doing her emails on the laptop. She gave us 2 worksheets, which took about 20 minutes in that lesson. That's all we had to do. And everybody was saying after the lesson, "Oh God, she knows what she's gonna do. She hates you, Harry. She hates you." And I was actually pretty worried myself. I was wondering what she was gonna do, whether she'd been told about all the statements in maths and stuff like that. So I was sitting there just, being, goody two shoes, perfect student, as was most other people. And that's probably quite a science lesson we'd had all year. And 2 days later, next science lesson, and same thing, literally 2 worksheets, barely anything to do. And we're wondering if this is going to be happening for the rest of the year. She's just been told to shut up and give us work to do. And then the next week, after another lesson of the same, we kind of get our answer. We have a new science teacher, and she was called Miss Armstrong, Irish accent. She was pretty nice. She, not strict. She was really nice, didn't shout or anything. And I really liked her, as did most other people in the class. And I go to Miss Price, who, as I said before, I was on good terms with, and I say to her, "Where's Miss Horney?" And Miss Price explains to me a pretty lengthy explanation how she and Mr. Murphy read through the statements, took what she said. She'd written a statement with what she said. She didn't tell me that, but I hope she told a lie, just so the way she could see 30 students complaining against her, and then she's saying she didn't do it but still lost. But if she told the truth, then I guess a bit of respect to her. But even still, I go to Miss Price, ask her. She says she read all the statements, and she and Mr. Murphy came to the conclusion that what I told them that she said was true. And you can't have a teacher saying that to a student. So she disappeared pretty much. She was fired, and Miss Price just explained that she wouldn't be teaching with the school anymore. And she basically saying in code, adult talk back then as it was, that she'd been fired. So after that, I just left the room. I was like, "Oh, okay, miss, I understand." And I went out, and I was just like, "Yes, victory!" And I told all my friends. We were all cracking up, we were laughing, we were happy that we'd not have to have her for the rest of the year or ever again. She was out of our lives, which everybody was happy about. Nobody complained, and I guess why should they? She was horrible, nobody liked her, and it's just perfect ending to a horrible spell of nastiness that she was given out. So that's my story of how I got my science teacher fired. And if you like the video for the story or the gameplay, please leave it a like and sub to my channel. I'll be doing a lot more videos. I've got another horrible teacher video that occurred through year 3, year 4 and year 5, so I'll definitely do a commentary about that in the future. Remember to subscribe, leave a like, and I'll see you